2022 has been crucial for relations between India and Sri Lanka, sort of like a new chapter. Throughout the last decade, Colombo inched closer to Beijing, but the Sri Lankan economic crisis was a reality check. So the new leadership has realized the importance of India. Like I said, a fresh chapter. But even with new beginnings, some things never change. Some priorities. And for India, Sri Lankan Tamils are one such priority. They are the largest minority group in Sri Lanka. They live in the northern part of the island. Historically, this community has been marginalized, even brutalized during the civil war. So India has consistently called for a fair reconciliation process to give the Tamils justice, equality, and opportunities. On Monday, India reiterated that demand. New Delhi called out Sri Lanka's government at the UN Human Rights Council. I have that statement with me, I'm quoting. The Indian delegation notes with concern the lack of measurable progress by the government of Sri Lanka on their commitments of a political solution to the ethnic issue. That is a public rebuke by India. The question is why? If New Delhi is looking for a reset in ties, why criticize Sri Lanka? For starters, because it is standard policy. Indian Tamils have always been concerned for their brethren in Sri Lanka. Many Tamil political parties have also taken up the issue, and as a result, India supports the Tamil cause. Having said that, this policy has often lacked consistency. Every time the UN votes on Tamil reconciliation, India has a different response. In 2012 and 2013, India voted in favor. In 2014, India abstained. And last year, in 2021, India abstained again. Interestingly, China and Pakistan voted against that resolution. So what explains this lack of consistency? A lot of factors, like the pressure from Tamil political parties. If they are part of the ruling coalition, there is more pressure, and if not, the government has more strategic leeway. But in this case, it's not about Tamil pressure, it's about strategic considerations. Put in one word, leverage. Last month, Sri Lanka permitted a Chinese research vessel to dock in Hambantota. India objected to it. They asked Sri Lanka to cancel the voyage, but in the end, China prevailed. The research vessel did dock in Hambantota. It led to a war of words between India and the other side. Weeks later, this happens. India calls out Sri Lanka at the UN Human Rights Council. Like we keep saying, there are no coincidences in geopolitics. Every statement, every gesture is calculated and planned. So you could say this statement was a subtle reminder, not just of Tamil reconciliation, but also of Colombo's dependence on China. Let me go back to India's statement. The current crisis in Sri Lanka has demonstrated the limitations of debt-driven economy and the impact it has on standard of living. Technically, this statement is out of place. That is not directly related to Tamil reconciliation. So why did India talk about it? Because it's a reminder to the Sri Lankan government. Chinese loans landed them in this mess, whereas India extended assistance worth $3.8 billion. So this statement is a not so subtle nudge. The question is, what happens next? The Rights Council is expected to hold a vote in early October. By then, India will have to make up its mind. Another abstention or a vote in favor of the resolution. Which way will India go? A lot depends on how Sri Lanka's new government performs. The UN is expected to publish a report on the reconciliation process, and chances are it will be critical of the government. But Colombo has preemptively rejected it. Listen in.
Anything external mechanisms, we are not agreeable because our constitution doesn't allow that. Sri Lankan constitution is very clear on that any judicial process should be in terms of the Sri Lankan constitution. So within the Sri Lankan domestic mechanism, we agree, but anything externally try to pressurize and take the power away from the constitution, we will not agree to that.
You know what they say about solving problems? The first step is acceptance. In 2015, now President Ranil Wickremesinghe had a different position. He supported a joint investigation into war crimes, but now the government has different ideas. So unless there is real reconciliation, India will keep up the pressure. Another factor is China. Wickremesinghe caved in to Chinese pressure last month. He permitted the research vessel to dock in Hambantota. India will be watching out for such moves in the future. If Colombo cozies up to China, India could play hardball, including on issues linked to the Tamils. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.